You just agree.
Yeah, and I accept it. Do I need to
Thank you.
press accept anywhere? Nope, no problem.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want you to take a look at your job listing here. Because you still are taking courses until the end of the summer, you're able to take an internship or a co-op. Of
Yeah.
course, you want to look for your full-time employment, but you could do both interchangeably. If you're not working on campus in the spring, summer, you could still do an internship. They just posted this 5 days ago. They're still looking for someone to work. Here's one that's remote. You could do that from the comfort of your home. Are you home now? You could do that
Yeah.
from the comfort of your home. Transport, roadway engineer, remote, as while you're looking for your full time as well. So take a look at this listing when you're done.
Absolutely. So
Let's
while
see.
going through, I just sent you an email on my resume. Can you just take a quick look on whether the resume format is okay or not? Just
Let's do that together.
because as per the resume, whether recruiters will see what are the important points that they will see, like in a resume for a candidate's life. So I'm very much confused. So this is the old one. I sent you the another one recently, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes ago. Yeah, this one.
Is it this one? Okay, perfect. Oh, it's very jammed. You
Mhm.
got everything kind of packed in one. And you are
Yeah.
graduating with a master's degree. You have the ability to go into 2 pages.
Okay.
I also am concerned about the ATS system. I don't want an ATS system to read it from left to right and go skills education, PowerPoint, Wayne State, because it's going to read left to right. It doesn't understand the columns just yet. It People tell you it does, but it doesn't. And if an employer is using the ATS system, what they're doing is looking for the top 10 keywords. And if yours hit 7 or 8 of them, you get passed to the HR rep. If it's under 6 or 7, it does not get passed. You get what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yes.
So I would appreciate, let's see. Let's go. So I'm going to show you the just the basic one because I need you to space your column, your formatting. Everything about you is just amazing. It's the formatting that you're doing. It's making it so hard to read on the eye. An employer only has 30, 60, pops 90 seconds if they like you to keep moving your resume forward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I do think you're at the stage where you should have a professional summary on yours. You go right into your skill set, which is huge. That's on the top third of your resume, but you need to give your professional summary, what you're looking for, you know, your education. It's pretty good, you know.
So do you want me to put an official email address or shall I put the personal email address in the like I think it doesn't matter whether is it matter or not the putting an email address which is officially like using Wayne State email ID.
Um, Wayne State.
Hmm.
So until July, still utilize your email, your EDU email. Once you graduate, you can now forward your EDU to your main Gmail or to your Yahoo. Is that what your question is, Mustafa?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
This one.
So because it's only you have to be current or alumni to have a .edu email. So an HR rep who's trained kind of like me, they know if they see .edu that you're reputable. You're not just telling me you have this magical master's engineering degree. I can really verify it because everyone won't get a .edu. And also the professional summary. So if I'm HR, I can exactly see your skill set and where you want to be, what you're looking for. So in your professional summary somewhere, I should see transportation engineer and what led you to this, why you want to do this quickly. And so here's a example. Your education, both your lines, your expected graduation date is July 2024. Have your
Hmm.
bachelor's, your relevant coursework for both your degrees. Since you complemented your bachelor's to your master's, you want to give relevant coursework. Now you want to separate your tech and computer skills, okay?
I mean the soft skills and
And
the
you
hard skills.
did this wonderfully. You can actually just copy and paste this. You did this pretty good. Take these soft skills off because you have to, someone, a soft skill is like almost a reference. If I worked with you, oh my God, Mostafa is a team player. He's result driven. He's great at research papers, but those are something that you wouldn't put about yourself on a resume. That's something that maybe a professor you worked with would say about you, or an attribute that you would give yourself once you're actually in the interview.
Yeah,
Okay, does that make
yeah,
sense?
yes.
Your graduate teaching assistant experience is huge. You got to give a lot more than that one little line that you're giving. You know what I mean?
So I will explain more, like what type of working sort of works I currently am in performing another
But teaching assistant. Are you a graduate research assistant or teaching assistant?
system. Yes,
Teaching.
yes,
And so this is going to help you give an example of everything you do. They're not going to be engineering people, but they're responsible, instructed, collaborated, modified, maintained, consistently provide. These are you in action. You giving yourself power verbs, you giving complete sentences of what you're doing. I'm going to give this to you because these people, it's going to help you. They're not engineers, obviously, but this is going to help you. Maybe you did an approachable teaching approach. You attended lectures, you graded
yes.
exams. You got to give just so much more than what you gave. So I'm going to put this in the chat for you too, okay? This is going to
Absolutely.
help you with your teaching assistant. There was a gentleman also that I worked with earlier that I need to give this to too. So help with that. So now you have your job leads. Let me give this to one student. Give me just a second.
Sure.
Control V. Help with resume writing for a GA position. Okay, so you'll see that you got this will help you kind of curate a little bit better. You see, this person gave 7 bullets. You gave,
Only two.
yeah, you know, you got to give better than that
I
because you're
was thinking
doing so much more.
age
I've
restriction.
talked to the professor you worked with. You're doing so much more for Dr. Schuster. You gotta give a little bit more than that, okay?
Thank you. Yes.
Now let's go on down. Your civil engineering, your responsibility, factory load management, construction. So you gotta again, let's go back. A civil engineer, if you think you're gonna be competitive with students who are coming out of Lawrence Tech, have you heard of Lawrence Tech?
No, it's a new term for me.
So Lawrence Tech is the school you're competing against, which is just 10 miles up the road. And this is a engineering college. And these students are coming with a master's in civil engineering and structural engineering. So you need to be able to compete with them. You know what I mean?
Yes,
These
absolutely.
are the people that are just 10 minutes up the road from you. And I bet you their resume isn't just going to give one line for the same jobs you're applying for. So you have to give just what you're doing,
I
you
got your
know?
point. Yes.
And so it looks like some words would be evaluated, produce, led, communicated, conducted, detailed, recognized, aided, applicate, and then you just give us
So
factory load
this
management. You have
case,
to write in complete sentences on here. I don't think you've done that. So these do need to be done in complete sentences, not long sentences, but civil engineer or graduate student assistant. You need to kind of say assistant, modify what you did. You know what I mean?
yes. So I mean, like using a bullet points, and also is the fonts matters a lot in the resume.
Per Say it one more time.
The
You
font.
want this resume? I'll put
What
it
sort
in the.
of shall I use, like for creating a lucrative resume, like whenever talent acquisition officer will watch the resume, what sort of font will attract him or her a lot.
What's the font for a resume you're saying?
Yeah, for
Excellent question. I always say Calbria or Times New Roman. Anything between 12, you can even go down to 11, really. Anything between 11 and no more than 14. The largest thing on the paper is your name.
absolutely.
Let me go. Well, let me show you a few more tricks and tips too. I also want you, because you're at the master level, to go ahead and get a cover letter done before you start applying, okay?
Yeah, that
This
will be. I was
it,
thinking like about the cover letter because every time I apply in the LinkedIn, they want the cover letter. So
you're
shall
at
I make
that
one
stage
cover
where you
letter?
need one. And before you actually apply, let me read your cover letter to make sure that everything is correct on there, okay?
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
something that I created about 2 years ago. Every time you see something in bold, it's like me talking to you. So in the first paragraph, you're going to clearly state your objective, why you're interested in the position, how you found out about the organization, why you're qualified, and then you'll kind of write about it. In your second and third paragraph, you're now giving specific details, transferable skills, summer jobs, camp activities, everything. So that's important too. Um, and this is where you'll talk about your GA ship. And then your last paragraph, you're really kind of just talking about, um, thank you for taking the time to read my cover letter. I'd love for you to review it. I hope to hear from you soon. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. That's kind of what that is.
So I have 2 points like for maintaining if I apply to different jobs, shall I maintain different cover letters or one cover letter having every format is suffice will suffice the thing like do I need to maintain different types of words or do I need to maintain based on the job description do I change my cover letter?
Oh, yeah, it's a great question. So your cover letter is going to change every single time, not the entire cover letter, but really who you're writing it to, the first
Mhm.
name and the person. And if you don't know the gender, just write the first and last name. And then the first paragraph will change. Your second and third paragraph won't really change because your transferable skills won't change, but your past jobs won't change. Your tech skills won't change. So, really, it's who you're writing it to, that first paragraph, and why. It's because your objective, your position, everything, it won't be the same. You might be applying to Coca Cola one day and then Pepsi tomorrow. So, it's got to change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fourth paragraph won't really change neither because you're still telling them, and you could keep this general. Now, if you're making it more personal and you're putting the manager's name one more time or the company's name one more time, you may want to highlight it in yellow so you know to change it every time. But really, it doesn't need to change. Your resume, however, I suggest it pretty much stays the same. You're going to always build your skill set. So you think about life as a master student every semester. So every 3 to 4 months, you may want to change something, but on your cover, every time you apply, you'll change. Something may change as you may have had a job in 2016 and now you have another job in 2024. Your 2016 job may fall off because why? That's almost 10 years ago in a minute. And so you're always evolving. So you may want to just talk about the things that you did within 5 years. However, this is pretty applicable to your job. So I keep it on there. However, in another year or two, something you did 10 years ago is just part of your testimony. So you would talk about it in an interview, but you may not necessarily have it on your resume at that point, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have one last question like if the recruit
Please.
is like if he or she is a PhD holder. So usually in academia, we usually call professor by his or her last name. So suppose if a person is a PhD holder, shall I call him or her by doctor last name or doctor first name, or shall I not call? Shall I not mention doctor? Just mention the first name, which
So
is more.
in the cover letter,
No, in the, yeah, in the cover letter. Yeah.
yep. So if you don't have a job yet, no one is on a first name basis, not a soul. You know, and see, I'm a young professional, so I don't want you to, I want you to call me Ashley, you know, but most people that you don't really have a personal relationship with aren't on a first name basis. Like I know you're not calling Dr. Schuster Bill. I call him Bill because I've worked with him for 5 years. But that first year or two, he was Dr. Schuster, even though we're on the same colleague level, you know? And so you do want to respect people in that aspect as well. So, yes. Now he's a chair. You might want to put department chair Schuster. Or if the hiring director is the director, so Director Hodge, you may want to give them the job title. You not necessarily have to give them their salute, which is doctor. So that could be interchangeable. Mhm. Does that
Thanks.
answer your question?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question while going through the cover letter. And also one thing I would like to mention, like, in the
Please.
letter, like, shall I mention anything about, like, currently as I am enrolled in the PhD, so due to some funding restriction, I'm ending up with a master's. So do I need to mention anything about that?
Well, some companies will pay. So that's a thin line. There's a thin line there. On the top line, some companies will pay for you to continue your education. So you want to tell them up front. So that's part of your hiring package. On the other end, they think that maybe you're going to only be there 2 to 3 years and you're getting a PhD and you plan to move on. And that position may be something they want you to keep for some years. And so that may hinder your hiring. If you can talk about your PhD in the interview, that you're
Okay.
continuing your PhD in the interview, I would not put it on your resume until you're completed with it, or if you've got at least a year down. And then you could put in progress. But it may think, and then people will be intimidated um, too, because there's a lot of positions where you won't need the PhD in the civil engineer. And so your boss might be like, oh, he's going to come in and take my job. So
Yeah.
have discernment. If you're applying for an entry level position, you don't have to put that right there, your full CV. Once you graduate and you're applying for senior level positions, yeah, you know. Mhm.
Yes, that's answered my questions. And like, one another thing, like, I would like to say, um, which is like, uh,
Yeah, please.
it's not coming in my mind right now. So yeah, many of the companies that I applied, they require, like, whether I need a sponsorship or not. So one of the professor, he was working in Ann Arbor, Detroit. So sorry, Ann Arbor transportation government job. So he told me, like, not to say like you don't need a sponsorship right now, because if I need a sponsorship, then the first screening, they will reject the application, because many of the companies, they usually prefer, like, students having no sponsorship right now, because after you show your work, then they will ask you whether you need a sponsorship or not. So is it genuinely okay if I say no to the sponsorship, like H1B or something like that? Because in LinkedIn, majority of the companies, they prefer options like yes or no for the sponsorship.
You know, whoever's telling you that, they are looking at the glass as half empty and not half full. If we are a melting pot in the state of Michigan, now there is post-Trump era, just to be quite frank with you, some employers, because he put on additional paperwork for us to host work visas. And so some companies, they may just be like the HR, they're under wraps. It's only one person, 300 employees. And so they may be like, oh my God, Mustafa's the most qualified, but all this extra paperwork, I might have to go with Joe. So maybe that's what whoever you were talking to was saying. But
Mhm.
but part of Michigan labor laws, it is your right, or employers have to interview you. You have the safekeeping. If you're the most qualified in the employer, there's some employers that cannot hire, like GDLS, because they do all of our military equipment, so they have to hire U.S. citizens. But if they're an open public employer registered with the state of Michigan, unless there's something private with that company, they have to be able to hire, and interview you. So I don't want you to go in feeling defeated already. And you also will not see that on the job application. We sponsor, we don't sponsor. So don't just apply to positions that say we sponsor you, because they don't put that in the job description. You just have to apply, you get the interview, and if they like you, they'll do the extra work in the back end to keep you. Okay?
Mhm. Yeah.
Go in feeling as if the cup is half full and not half empty. Southeast Michigan produces some of the top engineers in the country, and a lot of them came from different places, from China, from India, Nigeria. We've had some from um, Kuwait. So there's a lot. The most polished engineers weren't born here. So and companies know that, and we value you. And so I don't want you to go in thinking that, okay? Get that off of your shoulder, because that's just an extra brick that you'll put on your shoulder if you think that's true, okay?
Yeah, last time, like when I faced an interview in person, so they asked whether I need a sponsorship. So I told them like I have 3 years of OPT right now, so I'm currently not no need of sponsorship. But after OPT, I will go for that. So they asked me like some candidates, they already they are working in their company, but they face a lot of obstacles when they say no for the sponsorship. So I didn't got the job, I guess, for those questions. And also some they ask a lot of questions. So in Wednesday, I'm having another interview in Livonia. So I'm just preparing myself for the interview. It's an in-person interview.
You have access as well to Big Interview. I want you to Google Wayne State Big Interview. That will give you a mock interview before your interview.
Yeah,
Make sure, and then you'll press the register, but you'll just register with your unique email and thing if you haven't already. I'm also going to put just a few quick questions in the chat just so you could keep on.
well, actually, I was thinking like, is it too late like to apply for a full-time job right now? Like I'm just
We just looked at the list. No.
I'm losing my
This one
confidence.
says industrial engineer, but don't worry about this. This is just a general one. You could take a look at these questions and try to answer those questions when you can, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, Mustafa, get on my books. Once you get your cover letter updated and your resume redone, don't hesitate to start applying. I would keep updating your resume because I think that may be a factor too. I got a hard 2:30 I need to join, but
Yeah,
I'm here for you if you need me. I see you on campus office, so feel free to stop in if you have any questions. Let me know about Wednesday, but get a new cover letter up to date and update your resume, okay?
absolutely.
All right,
Thank
I'll
you
see
so
you
much.
soon.
This session is really effective. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.